our spiritual life, it's not that intuitive, is it? It's kind of easy to get to a point in a routine where you're just going through your life day in and day out without considering that the way we live today, spiritually speaking as well as physically speaking, will impact our future. But the real Christmas story isn't just about the birth of a Savior in a manger. The real Christmas story is just that, which is why I believe Charles Dickens wrote a story that pulls on our heartstrings. Because we know that in our spiritual lives, the way we live in the present is going to impact our future. See, we make bad choices, and when we do, we create ghosts of the past, don't we? We're forever looking back saying, gee, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I had made different choices. I wish I'd lived that day differently than I had lived. See, the great news about Christmas is the story of Christmas, if we'll let it, the Savior that was born, He'll eradicate those ghosts of the past. They don't have to haunt you. They don't have to be brought back into your present. I believe that's what the enemy does. He wants to bring the ghosts of past into the present because he realizes if he can affect what you choose in the present, it's going to impact your future. You're not going to be able to have what God has for you. If we live as God guides, we will have the perfect future. And if we will look at our own lives, because here's what I know about myself, and I believe I know about you. What we believe about our future will directly impact how we live today. See, if we really believe the Christmas story, if we really believe that Jesus was the Savior of the world, if we really believe that no matter how many bad things we've done in the past, if we'll simply put our faith in Him and allow Him to direct our present, He will impact our future for the positive. If we really believe that, it will change how we live today. Mary, the mother of Jesus, is a great example of what I'm talking about. Come on, do you remember the story? The archangel shows up to this young virgin and begins to unload some information that would blow anyone's mind, wouldn't it? You, young lady, have caught the attention of God in heaven. And He has favored you among all women. And you, even though you have not been with a man, are going to bear a child, and this child will ultimately grow up to be the Savior of the world. Put yourself in her place for a moment. I believe any of us would have rightfully just said, this is crazy, this is unbelievable. But this young woman listens to what the angel says, and she does something that's absolutely amazing. She does not look at herself or her circumstances or the way the world works. She simply focuses in on what this messenger has said from the hand of God. And then she does this. She begins to sing a song. It's found in Luke 1, verses 47 and 48. And part of that song goes like this. She says, "And my spirit rejoices in my God, my Savior, for He has been mindful of the humble state of His servant. And from now on, listen to this, from now on, all generations will call me blessed. Look back over the last 2,000 years. Aren't we still living out what she predicted about herself? Don't we look back every Christmas at the Christmas story and call Mary blessed? See, this young woman knew something. She knew that the way she took what God said and brought it into her present would radically change not just that day, would change her future. That forevermore she would be known as the mother of the Savior of the world, and because that truth was allowed to be lived out in her life, everyone who believed in God would call her blessed. That's amazing, isn't it? But you know what's more amazing than that? I believe that same principle not only applies to Mary, I believe it applies to you. Whether you're here sitting physically present in this church or whether you're watching online, I want you to hear this today, that what you choose to do with Jesus today, just like with Mary, will radically alter your future forever. That's what Christmas is all about. The way you choose to believe. Jesus taught this his entire life. And then afterward, the apostles, as they began to establish the local churches and begin to teach people, they taught them the same thing. Live today, but with the future in mind. The Apostle Paul wrote the church at Corinth. And he reminded them of this. If you've been around Rockspring any length of time, I'm sure that you've seen me use this verse before, because there's probably 2 or 3 that are my favorites when I talk about our future with God. 2 of them are in Revelation when Jesus says, I'm coming back soon and my reward is with me. He spoke himself. He says, I'm going to prepare a place for you, but I'm going to come back. But here Paul's writing to the church and he makes this statement. He says, for we must all believers, everybody who has claimed to put their faith in Jesus, we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each of us may receive what is due us for the things done while in this body. Now, couldn't we all agree that Paul is saying what I've been teaching you this morning? How we live today is going to impact our future. But here's the thing. In my experience, and maybe you share this, I've heard this verse taught by teachers and pastors before as kind of a tool to beat you up. Watch out how you live. Because there's a day coming